In this video, we will be traveling from Johannesburg to Qonce in the Eastern Cape, spanning across 963 kilometers. To achieve this, we will be driving the 2021 BMW 320i, where we will be testing its fuel efficiency, determine the cost of the trip, and answer the burning question, do you need a 320d? So stay tuned because all of this is coming up. Now, before we begin, I do want to qualify that this is episode 1 of the travel series and not a review of the vehicle. Once we conclude on the travel series, I will do a comprehensive review on the car together with my 3-year ownership experience. Now that is out of the way, let's kick off with stats on the car. The 320i is powered by a 4-cylinder, 2-liter turbocharged engine, which produces 135 kilowatts and 300 Newton meters of torque, mated to the 8-speed ZF gearbox. It'll accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.1 seconds. Interestingly, the LCI variant accelerates in 7.4 seconds when the weight and power output are claimed to be exactly the same. Now, BMW has not officially responded to me on this, but if anyone knows why this is the case, please let's engage in the comment section. Lastly, it has a claimed fuel consumption of 6.3 liters to the 100 on the combined cycle. Next, for the purposes of our test, we will be driving in comfort mode because EcoPro has proven to be laggy when overtaking. Additionally, we will keep the aircon on its lowest setting for added comfort. On most parts of the journey, we will try to keep speeds between 120 and 128 kilometers per hour. And lastly, the boot and the back seats are packed to the rafters. I have a sister at UJ, so the back seat is full of her boxes. I'll show you what this looks like a bit later, but for now, let's commence with our journey. The vehicle had a quarter of a tank when I refueled this morning, so I paid 834 rands to fill up this 59-liter fuel tank from quarter all the way to full. The current reading from the instrument cluster says that we have a range of 578 kilometers from this tank, so let's sit back and see how far this tank actually takes us. touchdown Qonce. Now, one thing about small towns in the Free State, you will respect the speed limit. Otherwise, you learn the hard way. You gonna learn. Those who know, know. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Now, it wouldn't be a proper road trip without some biltong. So on that note, we're making a quick stop at one of our favorite delicacies, the Fat Butcher, which is out in Ventersburg. I recommend this place when you're out here. You will not regret it. Anyway, let's continue with the trip. Touchdown Bloemfontein. We're stopping at Engine One Stop for lunch and some refreshments. As always, I've parked like a typical BMW driver. Sorry, guys. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Police like that. Yo. This is a 100 km/h zone and I've just passed the traffic officers at 117 km/h. Yo. Finally, we've reached Elwell North and we are now passing over the Orange River, which separates the Free State from the Eastern Cape. At this point, we've done over 624 kilometers and we still have a quarter of a tank remaining. So we'll make a quick stop, grab coffee, stretch our legs, and keep it moving. Oh boy, if it isn't the infamous Penhook Pass. Brings back a lot of childhood memories and certainly a stretch of road I've come to enjoy in my adulthood. It isn't always the sunny, pleasant and inviting though. And in order to fully appreciate what I mean by that, I'll insert a clip from one of our previous road trips. But for now, let's sit back and enjoy this majestic piece of road. Yep, this road is not for beginners, but on this occasion, unlike today, we were driving a front-wheel drive car which tends to perform better on snow and mud than rear-wheel drive cars. Nonetheless, let's keep moving. We've just arrived in Queenstown and at this point we've traveled a total of 804 kilometers at 6.6 liters per 100 kilometers. Our range is currently sitting at 53 kilometers, which means that the 320i will do an honest 850 kilometers on one tank, fully loaded. That is preposterous. We've just filled up for 500 rands in Queenstown, which should comfortably take us into Qonce. Finally touched down Qonce, my hometown. We will be closing off this video tomorrow with the total costs for the trip. It is now the second day and we are off to East London, which is 60 kilometers southeast of Qonce, to do some last-minute Christmas shopping. The total costs for the trip are on your screen right now. It's important to note that the total costs for the trip do not include any engine oil changes because this is a fairly new car and the oil generally lasts until the required service intervals. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. Do you really need a 320D? Now, the honest answer to that depends on your personal circumstances as the driver. The 320D is 0.3 of a second faster from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. So it will feel marginally nippier from point to point due to that extra torque. However, at speeds above 100 kilometers per hour, the 320i feels faster and pulls stronger because you have more revs to play with. So naturally, the higher the speed, the more reward you get from the 320i, whereas the 320d starts to run out of puff at that point. If you're going to be towing trailers and caravans, then I strongly recommend the 320D because of that extra 100 Newton meters of pulling power. But if not, the 320i is perfectly fine. What swayed me towards the 320i was the price premium of 50,000 on the 320D at the time of purchase. If we look at fuel efficiency alone, we've just proven that the 320i will do 850 kilometers, fully loaded, not on Eco Pro, and with the aircon on, which leads me to believe that a more stringent test can squeeze 950 or even 1,000 kilometers from this engine on one tank. So off the back of that, I don't see how I would have ever recouped the 50,000 just on fuel savings alone. And on that note, that brings me to the end of this episode. Stay tuned for our next trip to Cape Town, and thanks for watching.